So the reason why I went for the training in the first place was that I found it really difficult to share the three principles. I didn't seem to have the language to be able to do that, or the confidence in many ways. So I'd come across the three principles a few years ago, so it was trying to increase my ability to share that with other people. But I also wanted to grow a business, and so it was, how do I do that? How do I run a webinar, or how do I facilitate a group? So it was the two sides. It was the deepening my own understanding and ability to share it, but also having the business skills to get an audience in the first place. It was just so incredible the amount that I got from the facilitation training. I mean, I got the sort of far greater awareness of what the three principles was all about and how that related to me and how I could live that on a day-to-day basis. But I definitely got a much more awareness of how to build a business. What are the skills that are required? How do you actually go out there and get clients in the first place? How do you attract them to you? So I also have a much quieter mind now. So there used to be a lot going on in my head. In fact, it sometimes felt as if my head was going to explode with the amount of thoughts going around and whirring around in them. In my past, I have been quite a worrier. In fact, my mother would describe me as extremely neurotic when I was growing up and in my early 20s and 30s. But I just noticed that I'm much more peaceful now. My mind is much quieter. And when I have thoughts that make me anxious or make me angry or any sort of emotional response, I'm much more aware of where they're actually coming from. But the other thing is that I don't judge myself or my thoughts as I used to. So if I used to have an anxious thought or an angry thought, I'd feel that made me a bad person. And now I just realise it's just experience in the moment, and I'm much more accepting of myself and who I am. And that's just a wonderful place to be, because it then makes your relationships with other people so much more joyous. So that's been a huge benefit I've noticed. I don't spend time anticipating the future or worrying about things that I said 3 weeks ago. I seem to live much more in the present. And I think that's maybe because my mind feels a lot quieter. And there's much less going on. And I just seem to just flow with life more rather than trying to micromanage every little thing that happens in my life. So that's that part. And then obviously there's sharing the three principles as a business. So I feel that I've gained a lot more confidence in being able to do that. I didn't feel that I had the language to share the three principles before. I sort of would start explaining to people and then I'd start stuttering or umming and ahhing, and it's very difficult to explain a feeling. But I feel I've got much more confidence in being able to do that now, and actually much more ability to just share as it comes rather than thinking I've got to plan exactly what I'm going to say to people. I've got more confidence to just see what comes out, what insights come out in the moment, and to share those as they go. So I worked for quite a few years as a training manager, and I used to run lots of training programs. So presenting and facilitation was nothing new to me. And I didn't have an awful lot of fears around that. But what I did have fears around was, how do you share the three principles? Because it's one thing sharing, this is how you're going to do an assessment with someone or do an interview, but how do you share something as intangible as the three principles? That for me was a very different thing to approach. So now I've just got much more confidence in being able to do that. I realise that it's all there within me anyway, and I don't have to pre-plan it. I don't have to worry about it or anticipate questions. I can just naturally just quieten into myself and just allow the words to come when they're required. So it's a much calmer way of operating and facilitating, and it feels wonderful. It just feels a much more natural thing to do. But what's been really, really useful is to have someone look at your marketing and your website and everything that you're putting out there and giving you an overview, a really holistic viewpoint of what you're doing. Because I'd done courses on how to write an email or how to set up a website, but to have everyone look at the whole marketing aspect of what you're doing, and also knowing you and knowing that relating that to the 3 principles was really invaluable. So I've had some great feedback and some wonderful ideas on how to progress that, and that's been really helpful. So it's really funny doing online courses because you think there's going to be a little bit of a barrier between you and everyone else that's taking part, or between you and the people running the course, and it's not like that at all. In many ways you get really close to people really quickly, and what I noticed is that myself and other people really started sharing some in-depth personal private stuff really quickly with the other people on the course, and that can only really happen if you feel safe and secure and respected, and so that whole ability to form a group actually works really well online, and to feel that you're part of that group and that your view is valid, and everyone's there to support you. So it was just it's eye-opening, but it's also really fun finding out what the weather's like in the opposite side of the world, or what people are doing in other countries. It's fascinating. It's a wonderful way to learn. Yes, I would definitely recommend this course. I think what Jules and Rudi provide is a real deep grounding in the 3 principles. That's been amazing, but also they provide the business side as well. And I think, you know, it's all very well going on courses and learning more about the 3 principles, but if you want to work as a coach or a facilitator, you need those business skills as well. And I think that's what's been so wonderful about this program. And also Jules and Rudi are absolutely wonderful. They're lovely people, and so there's a real authenticness that they have about them, which is incredible, and I've really enjoyed it. So first of all, Rudi and Jules, I just love them to bits. They're absolutely amazing, wonderful teachers, and what I think is really powerful for them as a couple is that they have just this wonderful ability to work together, but they have very different skills and very different abilities. So I really came to the programme valuing Rudi's depth of understanding of the 3 principles, and that was one of the things that brought me to the programme in the first place. But then you have Jules, who's got this she has this amazing feeling that comes with her. You know that she's seen life, she's been through life, and she has this just amazing capacity for love. But Jules really compliments Rudi because she has this amazing capacity for love, as they both do, but you just get this coming out in oodles from Jules. There's just this amazing feeling that comes from her, and so together they work really beautifully together, and I've felt so accepted. They're so non-judgmental. They just have this love, and they see the best in you, which is just an amazing place to be in. So I just want to say a huge thank you to both of them. So I think the emphasis on both the understanding of the 3 principles, but also the business side, is really useful. I think that was unique. That was part of the reason that drew me in the first place. But I think what they do very well, what Rudi and Jules do very well, is going deeper into that. And so I don't just see it as 3 separate principles now. I've gained a deeper understanding of how it's just one principle with 3 different ways of explaining it, and I feel I see that much more clearly now, and I'm not even too concerned now about how do I explain mind, consciousness and thought. It's just this feeling of love and connectedness, and we're all part of the same universe. In many ways, that's more how I see it now, rather than trying to be very discreet about how I explain those 3 principles. And it's about more a way of being rather than intellectually understanding it. I think that's more what I've got out of it as well. Yes, I think before I come to this training, I sort of intellectually got it, but I couldn't quite see how to apply that to my life. And I was trying to do that in an intellectual way. I was trying to compartmentalize those 3 parts of the 3 Ps, and I'm doing this and that's coming here. And now I see it as just, I am someone who is part of the universe. I'm connected to everyone else. I'm connected to the universe. I am the universe. And so for example, when I go out for a walk, I see myself as part of that whole landscape rather than me separate as a person, not interacting with anyone. I'm just part of the whole now, and I get that so much more. It's all about the feeling, and the feeling of love that we bring to ourselves, to our life, to the people around us, to everything that's happening. And that feeling is the most important part of it all. So when we're feeling that feeling, when we're in that space, we're actually being the three principles. And I can tap into that more. And I also know when I've gone off out of kilter, away from that, I'm much more aware of that. And just ask me the question again, because there was something else that, and it's gone actually. Two things, wasn't it? Love and that was the other thing. And the other thing that I've got from it is that it's all working out perfectly. I just get a real deep sense of that in my life, and how I interact with others, and what's going good or bad in my life. I just feel everything is working perfectly, and there is nothing to fear. There is nothing to get anxious about or worried about. All is well. And that's what I get, a real deep sense of just trust in myself, trust in the universe, and trust that my life is flowing in exactly the right direction. So it's a wonderful feeling to have, because there's that trust and calmness that all is well.